Hey everybody, welcome to tip number 19 in the series 101 Tips to Ace Your Promotional Exam. I'm Steve Przebrowski and I thank you very much for your time in advance of what we're going to talk about today. So let's get going without further ado. Again, as a reminder, if you haven't checked out my website, code3firetrain.com, lots of great free information on there to help you be the best that you can be, as well as help you mentor and train others that you are fortunate to do so for. So the book 101 Tips to Ace Your Promotional Exam was recently published by Fire Engineering Books and Videos and is available off their website, fireengineeringbooks.com, as well as my website, code3firetrain.com. There's in the green box below, a 25% off code, 101 tips that you can use upon checkout to get a discount if you so choose. So not just, well, that specific to obviously my book, but they've got lots of other great books as well too. So let's cut to the chase with tip number 19. Tip number 19, I think, is critical. We've talked about personal development, self-development, self-assessment, thinking about where you want to be, goals, objectives. We've talked about a lot of stuff. Now let's talk about team building dynamics and techniques and really understanding team building dynamics and techniques. Why? Well, especially in the fire service, things get done through teams, no different than sports teams. One person does not make a team. So team building dynamics and techniques is critical. Obviously, as a entry-level firefighter or engineer, you got to understand how to be a part of the team because it's not just about you, it's about the team. But especially when you aspire and promote to the officer ranks, especially the company officer ranks, you got to really understand team building dynamics and techniques. I mean, think about it. As a company officer, you're in charge of a couple people, a few people, however many on your crew, 24/7, 365. Well, not 24/7, 365, because you get time off, but you know what I'm saying. When you're on duty, whether it's a 24-hour shift, 48-hour shift, it's all about team building and team dynamics, techniques, and so forth. So I saw this pic on the internet, whatever you want to call it, meme, not really a meme, I guess, but Simon Sinek. If you've never heard of Simon Sinek, Google Simon Sinek. He's got a lot of great stuff on social media, a lot of inspirational, motivational stuff. He's done a lot of the TED Talks. The TED Talks on YouTube are those 20 minutes or less talks. He's got a great one on YouTube, a great TED Talk. Again, easy, less than 20 minutes. What's your why? I would encourage you to check out the Simon Sinek What's Your Why, because it's awesome, very inspirational. But anyway, this hits the nail on the head. Think about this quote here. A team is not a group of people who work together. I mean, you may think about it, but we are a team. We're A shift at station one or B shift at station three. A team is a group of people who actually trust each other. And I think that's that critical trust, because just because we're put together, because you think about it, use the analogy for like maybe a professional basketball team. Okay, you got five starters and then X amount of people that are rotating in. Baseball teams got like what, 25 people, give or take. Just because you have people on a team does not make a team, because we all know, like, especially in sports, some teams are awesome and some are marginal at best. And there's some fans, sports fans, that are like, oh my God, season started. And then like a week into the season, it's like, well, maybe next year. Shit, so much for this year. Got to have hope, I guess. But I think the key is trust. And that, I think, is the critical component of any type of team building, team dynamic, is we got to trust each other. We got to have each other's backs. It doesn't mean we cover for each other. It doesn't mean we enable bad behavior, incompetent behavior. We don't enable mediocrity. We got to call a brother and sister or brother or sister out when necessary. We got to hold them accountable, and we got to save them from themselves at times. But we got to have trust in each other to be able to be successful, because when that bell goes off and we're expected to perform at 100%, in the public's eyes, 100% plus, but in our eyes, perform at a 90%, 100% level, it takes trust. One person does not make a team, but I think it's critical that you learn, especially for those that want to be company officers. I mean, obviously chief officers too, but company officers understand about team building and dynamics related to such, because teams have good days, teams have bad days. Talking about some team dynamics, this seems to be a trend around the country. It's a good trend. First of all, the firehouse kitchen table is an awesome sacred place. We think about it. For those that have been in the fire service, What problems can't we solve at the kitchen table? We solve all the world's problems, all the fire service problems. We talk about how if I was the fire chief, I'd be better than chief so and so, or if I was the training chief, if I was the operations chief. Hey, I was guilty of that too when I was a firefighter, engineer, and captain, and even BC. Yeah, if I was in that position, and then of course I get into that position, you go, well, it isn't as easy as it sounds like, or I get it. But anyway, the firehouse kitchen table, we spend a lot of our time around, and that's a great place for team bonding, team building. I see this good positive trend at a lot of our firehouses. We've had a number of our crews uh, take the time to put the labor of love and invest their own money in these awesome kitchen tables. This is one of our firehouses. And I look at artwork like that. It is artwork. I look at this and go, dang, this is awesome. I mean, number one, look how sturdy that thing is. It's a great place. California, we get earthquakes. This will save you from an earthquake and anything else, but it's an awesome table. This crew took pride and ownership in what they had. That's awesome. Now, I know we're not unique because I see a lot as I travel around the country, and I'm fortunate to go into firehouses and talk with firefighters from around the country. It's awesome when I see stuff like that because, I mean, again, it's not just my department, it's many departments. It's nice to see the pride and the ownership in there. But anyway, this is where a lot of team building can actually occur. I mean, not shit talking, not bashing of others, not being recliner snipers, but team building. And this is where it's challenging, especially as a company officer, because again, I'm trying to not just prepare you for the test, prepare you for the position. It can be a very dangerous ground sometimes, the kitchen table. That's why you never want to be the highest ranking person in the room when things go south, or you never want to be the highest ranking person in the room when someone says something that could be considered offensive, illegal, inappropriate, unethical, or crosses the line. Something you probably wouldn't say to your mother, I would hope, or grandmother, I would hope. Because think about it, when you're that company officer or that highest ranking person, because it could be you as a battalion chief, and you hear a firefighter or captain of a lower rank basically maybe say something offensive, maybe something racist, sexist, something that can be considered harassment or hostile work environment. Again, that puts you in a position to have to do your job. And I've been there. We've all been there. If you've been in the fire service long enough, you've been at the kitchen table or in the recliners when someone said something, you're like, oh shit, he didn't just say that, did he? It sucks because you don't want to call a brother or sister out because then you're like accused of forgetting where you came from. I hated that. Well, come on, chief, you forgot where you came from. No, it's the year whatever 2021, and we can't say stuff like that. We have policies, and that's just offensive. Well, we're not offended by it, chief. I know you're not, but anything can change. And again, I didn't say it this way, but I'm the highest ranking officer, and if I say nothing at all, think about it. If the highest ranking person, usually a company officer at the kitchen table, says nothing, they condone the behavior, or the saying, what you permit, you promote. And that's not right, because as an officer, you're expected to be the leader and follow policies, follow rules, and correct inappropriate behavior when appropriate. And you may go, well, I don't want to go against the brotherhood because I'm at the kitchen table with the guys. Yeah, it sucks because one minute it's like, hey, I don't want to hear that again at the kitchen table. That's just inappropriate. We don't say those things. Let's say someone maybe made a racist comment. Hey, knock it off. Don't want to hear it again. Again, you're not disciplining them. You're just trying to stop the inappropriate behavior. And then what do you got to do the next minute? Now, mind you, someone's probably pissed at you for calling them out in front of the brotherhood. The next minute, you're like, hey, by the way, Ralph, can you pass the potatoes, please? Get them yourself. Because they're still butthurt because you called them out. I get it. But again, if you didn't call them out, you're enabling behavior. And guess what? Let's think long term. Let's say that person who made that racist comment, you didn't call them out. Remember, you just sort of said, yeah, I agree. And your silence is an agreement. Let's say they get called on the carpet for now saying that same racist comment in front of somebody else that reports them through HR, through the chiefs. And now they're getting disciplined for saying something racist that's inappropriate for the workplace. Guess what they're going to do? Guess what? Think about this. Let's say they're looking at maybe getting suspended or even losing their job because of whatever they said or did. Guess what they're probably going to say at some point? Well, wait a second. I've said that thousands of times at the kitchen table, and Captain Steve or Chief Steve never said anything at all. And most of the time, Captain Steve or Chief Steve literally just basically smiled or didn't say anything at all. So obviously it must have been okay behavior, but you know, there's policies against that. I know there's policies, but again, my captain, my leader, he he condoned the behavior, so it must be okay. Now, I'm not saying that's right. They should have known better, but your butt's going to get thrown under that bus so fast, your head will be spinning. But they're my brother, they're my sister, they'll never throw me under the bus. Yeah, when someone's looking at losing their job, maybe getting suspended, maybe getting demoted, guess what, boss? You're that highest ranking person in the room. And if you don't raise your hand to say, stop it, knock it off, or no, you're just as guilty. So that said, I don't mean to be doom and gloom here, but that's today's reality. Let's flip the table to the positive spin. This kitchen table can be a very valuable place to not just solve the world's problems, but build your team and make things better. So let's leave it at that, but a great place again that can be used in a positive manner. So, you know, I love pictures like these, our happy crew and everything else. I took this at one of our, we had an explosion a number of years ago. Just a random shot there. But again, this is why we're here. When you talk about team building, team dynamics, and who we serve, it's about serving those that we're fortunate to lead and serve. So especially if you're a company officer and or chief officer, it's all about our crews. Because if you expect our crews to be on their best behavior and to provide top-notch service to the customers that call 911, then we need to take care of our crews. And I'm not saying enable or cover for them. Yeah, hold them accountable when appropriate, but more importantly, take care of our personnel so they can be the best they can be when the bell comes off or someone knocks at the firehouse door and asks for assistance. So again, I hate using I hate the us and them, and I hate it when people say, well, it's all about them. Because to me, that puts up a wall, us and them. I get what they're trying to say is we're here for not us, we're here for them. The people that call 911 need our service. But again, we're all in this together. So that's the point of take care of the folks that we're fortunate to work for, work with, and have on our team. I'll just leave it at that. That should be quite obvious. But team building, team dynamics is critical, especially in today's world because it's ever changing. And again, you don't want to be that old fart. I'm an old fart. I say that. I could have grandkids. I don't have grandkids. My wife and I don't even have kids. But again, I'm at the age where I could have grandkids. It's hard for me to connect with people of younger ages because I'm not 18 years old, 19 years old, and I don't have kids and grandkids. But as someone that's fortunate to be in a leadership position in the fire department, I don't want to be that old guy that forgot where he came from, or even worse, is not in touch with the times. That's why it's critical for you of all ages to do what you can do to build relationships, build that trust, and be able to communicate with somebody regardless of their age, whether they're older than you, younger than you, or whatever else. So I think that's going to be that critical thing. If you want to have a good, successful team, you can't just point fingers at generations, or the millennials, or the generation Ys, the generation X's, the baby boomers, the whatever. No, instead, build that team and create that trust. So there's a saying I like to use when I'm fortunate to teach my Courage Under Fire leadership sessions around the country. Teamwork and leadership doesn't start at the top. They start at the firehouse. Now, no offense for anyone that's a fire chief right now, because I know there's a lot of fire chiefs that, well, I'm the one that sets the tone and the vision through the policies and my messaging, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it. I get it. You have to do that as a fire chief. You're the one that sets the tone. But you can set the tone at the top all you want with policies and leadership briefs and discussions and memos and emails. But if you don't have the folks at the firehouse carrying out that mission in the right way, it ain't going to happen. Think about that. Who handles pretty much almost probably, think about it. I bet you probably 90% plus, if not 95% of our calls are handled by usually one or two companies at the firehouse. The fire chief usually never goes to calls, not because they don't want to, because there's usually not a significant enough call for the fire chief, the assistant chiefs, the deputy chiefs to even roll out. Yeah, battalion chiefs go to calls, but not every calls. So if you look at who's handling the overwhelming majority of customer interactions, it's the company officers and their crews. So if the crews and especially the company officers are not doing their part and not doing their job, the system's going to fail and break down. And that's what happens around the country when we see these breakdowns occurring of, stories such as, firefighter dealing drugs out of a firehouse, or fire crew gets in trouble because of whatever else. Firefighter, does something inappropriate, illegal, unethical, whatever. When it's on duty, guess what? Usually the common denominator is yeah, they didn't take personal leadership and personal responsibility, but there was also an officer in charge that was failing to be the officer. There was an officer in charge that was calling it in and not doing their job that they were getting paid to do, or if they were a volunteer, expected to do. Well, so is paid expected, but again, teamwork and leadership starts at the firehouse. That's why it's critical for company officers to be able to learn all those things. Now, by now, you may be going, oh my God, there's a lot of responsibility for a company officer. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. The company officer probably has, again, no disrespect, chiefs. The company officer probably has the most challenging position in the entire fire department. Why? Because, again, this statement right here, this is who handles most of the calls. It's not us people that work in admin at headquarters 40 hours a week. Yeah, it's the people that work at the firehouses. They're usually the front lines and the face of the fire department, like it or not, chiefs. So don't forget that, and make sure you empower your crews that work at the firehouses to be able to do the jobs they're supposed to be doing. Give them the tools, support them, but also make sure your company officers are holding their folks accountable, and you're holding your company officers accountable. So it's very challenging. But again, where we see leadership breakdowns sometimes and teamwork breakdowns, a lot of times it's at the firehouse because of a lack of leadership at the company officer level. So trying to end on a good note, teamwork, team dynamics, team building is critical for the success of any career, job, position that requires teamwork, which is the fire service, amongst others. So thank you as always for the gift of your time. My social media contact and footprint is right here. Hopefully you're finding the information valuable and beneficial in some capacity. Again, I'm not trying to prepare you to pass the test, God forbid. I'm trying to prepare you to be the best you can be in whatever position that you're aspiring to. So until the next episode, y'all be safe, take care, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day, everyone.